Hi, Hemakshi.
Hi, Radhika. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you as well. I'm in Bangalore on Azim Premji campus and meeting some amazing, inspiring people. And I keep thinking of Karm girls. So,
Hi.
very glad it's happening
Hi,
here.
Radhika. How are you? Good. How are you? Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you as well. I'm in Bangalore on Oh, sorry. I think there's an echo of my
There
voice.
was an echo. Even I was wondering. Yeah.
It's
Just
like,
keep it off. I was like, what's happening? I can hear myself. How are you doing? All well?
yeah, much better.
Okay. Good. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this for us. And of course, as you can see, the current fellows have taken charge. So
Yes, I love that.
So I'm going to sit and enjoy
Yes,
and learn and be part of this amazing conversation that you're going to have with so many inspiring girls who you'll be talking to.
yes.
Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah.
For those of you who've just joined, I had sent a message earlier saying if you can get a diary, a paper, pen, that would be really helpful.
Great.
I think we'll have to talk to see if it's still echoing. Can you say something, Jay?
Hi.
No, not echoing now.
Yeah, I guess it is not echoing now. We are all set to start. So yeah, in 2 minutes we can start. Yeah.
I think we can begin now.
Yes, we can begin. Go ahead, Gaur.
So, namaste everyone. I am Gauri Sharma, a proud Karm alumni, along with Tanya Mittal, who is also a current Karm fellow. We will be facilitating this very special Karm Talk session with you all today. Tanya, say hi to everyone. Tanya, are you here? Maybe she's in mute.
Hi guys.
Okay.
Sorry, my mic
Hi.
is muted.
Yeah. So good to see you too, Tanya. So, Karm Awaaz is deeply excited to welcome our special Karm Talk speaker, Miss Hemakshi Meghani ma'am today. Yay! So, she's also a veteran Karm mentor, having mentored one Karm Shakti fellow and one Karm Navya, guiding them with her wisdom, warmth, and belief in their potential. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining. I'm honestly so overwhelmed to see you here with us today. So
Thank
we are
you.
grateful. We are grateful to our sweetest Miss Radhika Bharatram ma'am also, and the entire Karm Awaaz team for making this moment possible for us. So before we begin, let's see how excited you all are for the today's session. On a scale of 5, how excited are you? Drop your ratings in the comments. Fatafat se, jaldi. Out of 5, how excited are you today? Today, Hemakshi ma'am is here, Radhika ma'am is here, we all are here. Great. All are super excited. Great. So, before we begin, let's take a moment to ground ourselves and revisit what Karm Awaaz truly stands for and what are some important guidelines for the session. Over to you, Tanya.
Namaste everyone. So as we all know that Karm Awaaz is a movement led by fellows to exchange their learnings at Karm with other girls. We aim to empower college-going women across the Delhi University campus to find their voices and step toward financial independence. So they can be who they want to be. How we to achieve that, we conduct engaging sessions with Sakhis, our newest batch, young women with potential to drive change, helping them build knowledge, confidence, skills, and a safe community where they can express themselves and where they can learn and grow together. Moving on, let's take a look at the few guidelines that I would request you all to follow throughout the session. Firstly, I would request all the participants to try keeping your videos on and the mic on mute. Listen attentively and participate meaningfully in the discussion and to make the most out of this opportunity that you have got. Keep the space inclusive, professional, and respectful for all. You can obviously ask questions, so just frame clear and relevant questions and drop them in the chat box. We will take it up. And lastly, connect, share, and take these learnings with you and apply them in your journey ahead. With that, let's now just familiarize ourselves with the speaker of the session. Over to you, Gauri.
So, as she is already here, let's start with one of her saying itself. We need politicians who lead with a still mind, a compassionate heart, and fearless hands. These words are not just a vision, they are a reflection of the life and leadership of someone we feel deeply honored to welcome today, of course, Hemakshi Meghani ma'am. So she is a change maker whose work has redefined leadership at the grassroots level. As the co-founder of the Indian School of Democracy, she has spent over 6.5 years nurturing and empowering a new generation of political leaders. Leaders who lead with purpose, humility, and integrity. So her journey began in classroom as a Teach for India fellow herself and traveled through Harvard's Kennedy School and took root in heart of India's policy and development ecosystem with organizations like Indus Action and Awaaz Day. But beyond the roles and the resume, Hemakshi ma'am is someone who has always chosen to walk alongside communities, not ahead of them. अपने पीछे नहीं, सबको अपने साथ लेकर चलने वालों को ही वो एक ट्रू लीडर समझती है. She listens deeply, she builds patiently, she believes radically in people. For our Karm Awaaz Sakhis, ये सिर्फ एक टॉक सेशन नहीं है, it's a moment for inspiration for each of us. Because Hemakshi ma'am represents what's possible when women lead with heart, when dreams meet action, when public life becomes a path of service. I'm personally so happy to be here, ma'am, especially because I am also in the education field and having this opportunity to learn from you feels incredible. It means so much to have you here, ma'am, holding space for all of us who are stepping into our power, voice, and purpose. Thank you for joining. So now, Sakhis, you can keep dropping your questions for Hemakshi ma'am in the comments, and we'll make sure to bring them up during the session. But for first, I would request Hemakshi ma'am to share her journey and experiences with us. So, ma'am, we would love to hear from you. Just a request, if possible, we'd love if you could be bilingual, since we have a diverse audience here, and I really want to make sure that we are able to connect with each of them deeply. So, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Gauri. Can I request you to stop sharing the screen so that I can see more of you?
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
And if I can just step in for 1 minute just to say that many of you have Karm Veda with you, and there's a letter by Hemakshi ma'am in that. So after this conversation, go back and read that letter. It will make so much more sense. Okay?
Thank you, Radhika. And thank you, everyone, for that level 5 excitement. I was also equally excited. I'm at a university and I'm taking sessions with young people, but I was looking forward to Thursday because I think Karm is always such a special place. Always, always, always. Every time I've interacted with any of you, it just feels like, wow, I'm so lucky and grateful that I have this opportunity, and I truly mean it. So thank you for taking time and being here with me. I was thinking maybe since we have almost approximately an hour, I'll share a little bit about my journey, but for 20, 25 minutes, and then I would love for you to actually ask me questions, okay? So be ready to ask questions. And I'm actually going to start with a prompt where I would request all of you to write in your journal or something like that. And then I'm going to go back to it in a little bit. So the question is very simple, okay? The question is, who am I? You can write your name in the center and write all the words that come to you when you hear, when I ask you, who am I? Yeah, we'll take maybe 30 seconds or 1 minute to do this. I'll also do this along with all of you. Write as many words as you can. मैं कौन हूँ? It'll take 20 more seconds. If you're done, do you want to share in chat some of the words you've written? Wow, artist, change maker, leader, dreamer. और अगर आपने नहीं लिखा है ये शब्द तो ऐड मत करना, ठीक है? आपने जो लिखा है आप वो ही लिखने देना, भले आपको लगे वो मैं भी आर्टिस्ट हूँ, मैं भी ड्रीमर हूँ, बट कीप योर राइटिंग टू द वर्ड्स दैट यू हैव रिटन. Perfectionist, sensitive human, dancer, human full of love, dignified woman, fearless, strong, creative, hardworking, friendly, empath, creator. I love all of these words. I wish I was some of these. Learner, listener, student, Karm fellow, teenager, DU undergrad, TFI student alum, doer, unstoppable, friend, achiever, sister, exceptional creature full of capabilities. I love that. Thank you, Supriya. Awesome. Thank you for indulging me in that. Now you can close your journals or your diaries and then we'll come back to it. Okay, don't add. We'll get chances to add and edit. Okay. I in other places when someone is introducing me, I don't like it because I know what they're gonna say. I know they're gonna say this, all the achievements I have had, etc., etc. But I love getting introduced at Karm because it makes me see myself. Yes, those achievements are a part of it, but makes me see myself in other ways, which honestly, and I'm going to talk a lot about it, I myself forget. I think I am what I am doing externally. And right now, I think the topic is very relevant because I'm going through one of the hardest phases of my life, and just finding myself, figuring out who I am has been one of the questions. But I'll come to my current phase in a bit, and I'll start with when I was a child. So when I was a child, I was a lot of these things. I was full of energy. I was chaotic. I was attention seeking. I was very creative. I was involved in thousands of extracurricular activity. I was also ziddi. Like I was really ziddi with my mother and, just all of that. And so I always thought, kuch bhi hoga, I'll figure it out because I always had such a sense of agency. And I'm very grateful to my parents for giving me that sense of agency. No challenge seemed big. I was like, of course, challenges to aayenge, to figure out ho jayega. Agar mera kisi ke sath jhagda hota tha, playground pe, I never called my parents. I never went running to them. I was like, I'll figure it out. Even if aunties and uncles of other kids came, I said, I can figure it out. So this I can figure it out by myself became a voice in my head. And it was a really loud voice. And it helped me a lot. So after schooling in Ahmedabad, where I grew up with so much confidence, I was always the poetry award winner. I was always the first, second, or third ranker. And I was the school vice captain. I was the all of those achievements that you talk about. And I could always figure it out. And then I went to college. And I went to a liberal arts college, which was a very elite college in Pune, very far away from home. And I realized I cannot figure it out because it was a liberal arts college and I was the first batch of liberal arts ever in India. So Ashoka, all these Kriya didn't exist. So tab kya hota tha? Only the IB educated kids would come to liberal arts because वो बाहर abroad नहीं जा पाते थे, इसीलिए ये college में आए थे. So all my classmates would quote George Orwell. They would just recite poetry. They could make films. Abhi college ka first year hai aur filmmaking kar rahe hain. Or I was the science geek who just had studied state board. I was the first ranker. I just always knew what to do. But then I'm suddenly surrounded by 70 people and no support system. And I had no idea what to do. But this voice inside me kept saying, I can figure it out. Of course, I have to figure it out. And because I have to figure it out, I didn't know. And not just this, I had studied in English medium all my life. My parents worked really hard to ensure I go to an English medium school. I always scored high in English. But suddenly I go to this fancy university and my English has an accent. It has a Gujarati accent because I grew up in Gujarat. And my classmates have an American accent. Not a Bombay accent, not a Delhi accent, but an American accent. No, I couldn't make friends because everyone thought that who is this girl? And there were 2, 3 of us like that. Okay, out of 70, few of us were on a little bit of scholarship. And I was like, how can I figure it out if I can't even speak for myself? So I felt really, really lost because my assets were my intelligence and my hard work. And they were not helping me because I came from a state board school where you have a question, there is a fixed answer, and you have to write that answer, and then you get marks and you win. And now suddenly in this liberal arts school, I have to write a critical analysis of India's education policy. And I'm like, kaise? I didn't know what research was. I didn't know there are primary sources, secondary, nothing. Okay. And all my classmates, they are very easy to figure for them to figure it out. So I felt really, really lost. And now when I look back, I remember resisting that loss, being lost, because I couldn't accept it. मेरी self image क्या थी कि हिमाक्षी को तो सब figure out करना आ जाता है. अब जब हिमाक्षी नहीं figure out कर पा रही थी, तो वो अपने आप को एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर पा रही थी कि ये कौन है हिमाक्षी, ये तो मैं जानती ही नहीं हूँ. और बिकॉज उसका खुद से रिश्ता टूट गया था, बिकॉज हर रिलेशनशिप विथ हरसेल्फ ब्रोक, she just almost collapsed and felt a lot of emotions that were new for her. So I felt a lot of fear. I felt a lot of self-doubt. I was a girl like who was doing Bharatnatyam everywhere, doing blah, blah, blah. And suddenly I am just like, I don't know who I am, because I no longer, what was working for me is no longer working for me. And so this sense of disconnect threw me in what I thought was a very dark hole, which it was at that time. And I didn't know how to process these feelings. And I sat with it. One trimester went by, second trimester went by. I still used the tools that I had, which was hard work. So I would go back, do all the studies. Eventually, my English improved because I was hearing all of these people. But I also did the other thing, which is I found sources of support. And I couldn't make friends with my classmates because they were too hi-fi for me. But there were a few professors who I could go to and who I could talk to. I could tell them that I don't know English. I know English very well, but I can't speak like them. I actually have a lot of dreams. I have ideas about how to change the country, but I don't know how to write a research paper. So I discovered at that time, like what asking for help looks like, where I had to swallow a lot of my identity of, oh, I can figure this out, to saying, I don't know and I want your help. And that help came like as soon as I asked so many of my professors. These are professors who were at my wedding, who will like leave everything now to come for me. So those were the relationships and vulnerability that I developed only because I could say, I don't know. Can you help me? And that was the first lesson I learned, saying, accept that you don't know and ask for help. Because the moment you do, I really think the universe almost opens up to come and help you. And then I think I had a really good college. It was a 4-year degree. I had a good college experience. Of course, challenges came, but I was no longer thinking I was alone. I was with a group of people. And once that confidence, once that relation, my art teacher helped me. Like she would make me draw, and that made me help connect to myself again. And once I could connect to myself, that confident self came back. I could make friends. I eventually graduated with a gold medal, etc. But what I remember was that when I didn't know what to do, I could accept that I don't know what to do, and I asked for help. So I'm going to pause again, maybe for 30 seconds, and I want you to write down one time where you felt like I don't know what to do, and what were the emotions that you felt. Don't think about what you did, but just write down what emotions did you feel. You can even write it in chat. Shame, yeah. Sad and underconfident. Panic. Hopeless. Challenged. Yeah, thank you, Aditi, for sharing that. That's a very real feeling. Broken, insecure. Yeah, I felt like crying, embarrassed, lot of self-doubt. Yeah. And a lot of times, I don't know if it's the right thing to do or not, but a lot of time, since a lot of inspirational talks, there is this, yeah, you have to bypass these feelings. Like if you feel all of it, you will feel better. Read 10 motivational quotes, which are important. But when you're down in the dumps where you feel like you don't even matter, no one will care if you're gone, the fear and insecurity, at least where I am in life right now, I really think bypassing those, you can bypass that from your head, but your body will remember it. Your body will store it in ways that you don't even know. So वो फेज तो खत्म हो जाएगा आपका, पर कहीं ना कहीं वो रहेगा. तो पहला स्टेप है कि एक्सेप्ट करना कि मुझे ये फील हो रहा है, और इट्स ओके. लाइफ इज नॉट ऑल रेनबोज. देयर आर डार्क क्लाउड्स एंड इट्स ओके टू have dark clouds. It's okay to have weaknesses. And sometimes, especially because you're all strong women, the world expects you to be strong all the time, and you are all strong, but strength is not always being and showing that I can do everything. There is also strength in vulnerability and being vulnerable with yourself. So I hope you give yourselves the permission to be vulnerable, because a lot can unfold from there. Anyway, I'll fast forward. I went on to teach in Teach for India, and now I laugh at it. But at that time, I was really bad. Like I said, I had graduated from Flame eventually as a gold medalist, So I was this high horse. Teach for India is so lucky to have me teaching third and fourth standard. What an easy job it is. I go into the classroom. My third graders don't know A to Z. They know all the Hindi galis that you can think of that I had never heard in my whole life. Okay. And then the parents are coming and seeing, what is this 21-year girl going to teach? I would make lesson plans. I would make props. I would sit till 1 o'clock and make charts. I go to school, and what have I done in 7 hours? Just ensured that my kids don't literally kill each other because they were so violent. So the sense of failure that I felt, like, it destroyed my self-image 100 times over, because you think, you're like, what is this? Or by then, I graduated, I had written many papers on education policy in India. I had written so much. So I thought I knew everything. Oh, how wrong was I? I would tell my program manager that, Anna, do you think I can do this? Do you think I'm a wrong selection? Because I'm just not made for this. Am I doing injustice to kids? So the same self-doubt came. Same, am I even meant to do this? A lot of anger also came actually on the kids, because I thought, oh, मैं इनको पढ़ाने आई हूँ, ये पढ़ना भी नहीं चाहते हैं, कैसे हैं, मुझे कुछ नहीं करने देते. So I built a little bit of resentment towards my kids and parents. And parents of the children that I taught. And at that time, in Teach for India, there's an institute. It's one of the best things, like 6 weeks, so beautiful, so much fun. There are some TFI student alums, I think I read. And I know we've met also, no? Kumkum? I can't. Yes. Yeah, there are other TFI. So it's a lot of fun. But I realized you have to first have a mentor. So my Anna believed in, like my program manager, Anna, believed in me. She said, Hemakshi, no, we are going to do this together. She would travel 40 minutes in Bombay train journey and sit. Not like her presence made me a good teacher, no, but it made me feel like, oh, someone else believes in me. So let me keep trying. Let me keep trying. And then every time I forgot what I was taught in institute, she would remind me gently, again, not in front of the kids so that my confidence doesn't go, but she would take me for a samosa and she would say, oh, do you remember you learned this? You can try it. And I think what got me over that phase of first 6 months was just belief from one person, which was my program manager. And having that person in your life, I think, is really important. And she was not pumping me up just like that. ऐसे नहीं बोल रही थी, oh, Hemakshi, you're such a good teacher. No, she said, I know you're struggling right now, but I know you can do it. So she had faith in my potential. She would tell me the truth that, oh, in this borrowing lesson, it felt like you are teaching them by rote learning. There are other ways you can do. So she would hold the mirror, and I'm very grateful. When I say hold the mirror, वो मुझे सच्चाई बता सकती थी, पर उसके बाद वो सच्चाई को, वो मिरर को कैसे मैं साफ करूं, ठीक करूं अपने आप को, उनको वो भी फेथ था कि मैं कर सकती हूँ. सो आई थिंक व्हाट गॉट मी ओवर दैट चैलेंज वाज this one person at that time who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself at all. So maybe just take again 15-20 seconds and write down who is that one person for you in your life. If you want, you can write in chat, but if not, that's okay. Your mother. I know you can tag so many Karm fellows. Parents. Sister. Parents, mentor. Best friend. Grandmother. That's so nice that you have that relationship with your grandmother. It's very special, especially when it's intergenerational. We almost forget उनको क्या पता होगा वो तो कभी college मैं assume मेरी grandmother college नहीं गई थी. But that you have so much faith and that she has so much faith. It's really nice. School senior. So you've built and invested in those relationships. I think these people will change over a period of time. So Anna stayed with me for 2 years. Then I met her again after 15 years, and I'm going through something very difficult right now. And I met Anna, and in 15 minutes, the reconnection was instant because she had seen a baby version of me through a difficult time. She could connect that and really sit with me and understand through this adult hardship that I'm going through in some ways. So keep these people close. They're very special. We may feel like they don't understand. And I also think each phase you may have a different person who believes in you, but keep these people close because they're very, very precious. Again, so I'll fast forward. I moved through my professional life. This idea of, oh, I can figure it out, ऐसा नहीं था, वो voice चला गया था, by the way. वो life में overconfidence तो काफी था. कि वो I can figure out almost everything in life. देखो कोई भी challenge आता है तो figure out कर ही लेते हैं. And then as I went, I think like I got admission at Harvard, but I didn't get a scholarship. The first time I applied, I had given up. It was my dream since college. My laptop password was Harvard, Harvard, Harvard. Like, so I almost manifested it because I had such a vision that I'm going to go there. So I was working towards it and I did get the admission. What I forgot was there is a scholarship or there's 1 crore rupees that you need. So I never really thought about that challenge, but I feel like I had faith. In this time, I told Howard, I cannot come this year because I don't have scholarship, but I'll come next year. You save my spot next year. I am confident I'm going to figure out scholarship. कुछ अता पता नहीं था, ऐसा कोई नहीं था जिन्होंने मुझे बोला था आपको scholarship मिल रही है, पर confidence था. मैंने बोला मैं figure out कर लूंगी. आप just मुझे next class में just save my spot. And luckily universities abroad have and I just like I said, I had the confidence to write to the university that you save it. And they did, luckily. And in the next year, I figured it out. I applied to 2 लाख की 1 करोड़ था, by the way, चाहिए था. और मेरे parents लोन नहीं ले सकते थे. मेरे पास कुछ सेविंग्स नहीं थी. तो मैंने 1 लाख की लोन थी उस पर भी अप्लाई किया, 5 लाख की लोन थी उस पर भी अप्लाई किया, और फुल स्कॉलरशिप लोन थी वो भी अप्लाई किया. बिकॉज आई फेल्ट लाइक no application is too small if I really want to achieve this dream. And in this phase, I really want to say, like, it was my perseverance that held me through, because I was like, I'm going to figure it out. And eventually I did get a full scholarship that not just gave me a full scholarship, but also paid for my staying, food, trips, वहां जाने के वापस आने के सबके पैसे दिए. And at that time it was just I had an Excel sheet. Every single scholarship available in India had an application from Hemakshi Meghani, because I was just like, I have to go. I'm going to figure this out by myself. And I spoke to 20 Harvard alumni at that time. कैसे करना है, क्या करना है, पूरा ज्ञान ले लिया. And I think that challenge I was able to overcome just through my own hard work. And I feel like the nature of challenge was also really, really not as emotional, where I was not doubting myself. I think by that I had certain confidence कि it's a professional challenge, I'll figure it out. मैंने इससे बहुत मुश्किल challenges overcome किए हैं, ऐसा लगता था जिंदगी में. And then I came back and I worked with Boston Consulting Group for a year. I did not like my job. And there was a voice inside my heart and head that said, like, you're made to work with women, you're made to work with politics. And I'm very glad I heard that voice. And I started Indian School of Democracy along with my co-founder. And again, ऐसा लग रहा था, oh, this is a new idea. It's such a great idea. सब entrepreneurs को लगता है उनका आइडिया बहुत ही अच्छा है, ठीक है? तो वो यूफी एंड फिर सब लोग आसपास 5 लोग भी बोलते हैं हाँ बहुत अच्छा आइडिया, बहुत अच्छा आइडिया, तो आपको लगता है हाँ ये तो बेस्ट आइडिया ऑफ द वर्ल्ड है. So I believe that 1 year I was traveling across the country trying to understand politics. I was able to raise money, etc. And very soon I started realizing that the society is really, you can live in a bubble. I was really privileged to have parents who believed in me. I had mentors who believed in me and education. But the real world out there is really messed up. So despite me doing all of this work, and I had a co-founder who was in the US at that time. So first 2 years, I was the one setting up the organization here. And so many times I would go for fundraising meetings and they would say, oh, great idea. We love the pitch. You have so much passion and energy. Who is the founder? Because they assume there has to be a founder who's older, who's another man, because a young woman cannot be a founder, right, in politics. एक बार हुआ, मुझे लगा कोई बात नहीं. दूसरी बार हुआ, कोई बात नहीं. But then there were many times, if my co-founder was with me, I was called, oh, you must be his secretary. Like once I was told, oh, you are the secretary. And like from a very, oh, funny. But the same joke would not have happened with my male co-founder, right? No one in a funny way would have said, and that does something to you, you know. रॉक पे भी अगर बार बार पानी गिरे तो then I started doubting myself that oh am I meant for this. And these were early years, तो हमारे alumni भी नहीं थे, ऐसा भी नहीं पता था कि what success looks like, because we were just trying to build something in the political space where it didn't exist. No organization like Indian School of Democracy really existed. So, and because there was no external success and everyone was doubting me, I started doubting myself. And there is no other, I think, jinx than when one starts doubting. I really couldn't believe that so maybe I need to wait for my male co-founder to come back. And there was just a lot of self-doubt that crept in. I was someone who was always on the road. Till last year, I was traveling 220 days. I am just always like, I'm a hard worker. I thought I could figure it out. But मुझे लगा ये patriarchy तो भाई मुझसे नहीं होगा. Or especially outside, you know, in my house, I can fight it, but I'm not going to be able to fight the mindset of the world. So I felt really depleted. And I was also reading leadership books at that time. Everything was written by man. Most leadership books I was reading were written by males. The kind of leadership they expected was a very macho kind of leadership. But when something like when these things, I said, I can't be the only woman who's going through the self-doubt. And luckily by that time, reports had started coming saying the internal self-doubt that women have to go through in finance, in a lot of male-dominated fields. So I did few things. I decided for 1 year, I'm just going to read leadership books by women. I said male authors are banned because they don't understand the inner world. Men are writing about strategy, team को ऐसे करो, ये करो. और भाई मेरे दिमाग में तो ये चल रहा है, मैंने उससे शायद थोड़ा जोर से बात कर ली, he must hate me, no, now he will not do the job. दूसरा चल रहा है कि यार मैंने 4 डेक्स तो बना लिया पर वो लोग मेरे सामने देख भी नहीं रहे थे, क्या मैं ठीक लग रही थी, क्या ओ शुड आई हैव worn a sari. Like no leadership books written by male could understand what is going on inside my head. And so I thought something was wrong with me. But when I realized, and just made this one decision that I'm going to read books written by women, I realized, oh my God, this is so real. Women across the world, across industries go through this. Even if women who are prime ministers go through this, because the world is an unfair place. Same woman prime minister will be judged on what is she wearing. Like every time our finance minister gives the budget, there is an Instagram post about what was Nirmala Sitharaman wearing, which sari was she wearing. Have you ever read that about a man? No. So the gaze of the world outside is so strong. But because of that conditioning, we also develop an inner gaze that we are always judging ourselves. That, oh, did I do this or not? And it was a magic moment for me when I became aware of my own inner gaze, which was doubting me, which was always looking down at me. दूसरे क्या मुझ पे look down करेंगे, मैं खुद ही look down करने लगी अपने आप को, क्योंकि वो आदत बनने लगी थी मेरी. But like I said, with these books, and then these books also said you need to have a mentor and a coach. So me being me, there's a very famous coach who like charges 5 lakhs per session or something like that. And I wrote to that person by finding their email ID on Google. I said, see, I am the social entrepreneur. I need coaching. Will you coach me for free? ऐसे ही randomly लिख दिया था मैंने. कौन reply करेगा? He was the coach for the Mahindras and, Fortune 500. And guess what? He said, yes, I would love to mentor young women like you. And then, like for a year, he was my coach, where he helped me see my self-worth, where he helped me understand the language of the inner critic, where he made me see that most of the things that I'm telling myself are critical because there's an inner critic that has come in. And so first recognizing the inner critic, not hating her, because she also protected me. Because this inner critic would say, oh, Hemakshi, you can do better. Then Hemakshi would stay 2 hours extra and make that perfect presentation. So that inner critic made me ambitious, made me grow. But there was a time where she had served her purpose. It was time for her to go because I had learned the skills of being professional, being good, being punctual. And it was time for me to tap into the part of me that can be kinder to me, that can love me. And I'm very grateful that this coach kind of helped me again. And I'm also grateful to me that I could take that risk and write to like this random coach who I could never afford and ask him shamelessly that will you coach me for free. So, and yes, absolutely, Radhika. The work rules are made by men. They don't understand we have a menstrual cycle, that we go through phases of our life, that our body is changing, our hormones are changing, and so on and so forth. We have to just power through. So I think, and luckily, a lot of you girls actually give me hope because the world I grew up in, it was a man's world, and the woman almost had to become a man to be successful. That was the only way to be successful. Now, I think the world is slowly starting to realize that we are made with different rhythms. We are made with different gifts. We are made with different cycles. So we get to be on the table and decide the rules of the game. But what so many years of winning in a man's world did was I was mostly in touch with my masculinity. And I thought my femininity is not good. The softer part of me, the vulnerable part of me, that's not helping me, right? What's helping me is my strength, that I can figure it out. This entrepreneurial spirit that I'm talking about, all the achievements I'm talking about is who I am. But these are all masculine sides of me. And yes, it's helpful. But like everything, there needs to be a balance. The gentleness, and I think men also have a feminine side. Okay. So I'm not saying women are more feminine. The intuitiveness. I started making decisions based on data, because the world was talking about data. But there's always a strong intuition, in your gut. And actually, women are way more intuitive. But I was like, no. All these leadership books talk about data-driven decision making, evidence-based policy making, but your intuition and your body are telling you. So tuning into that. And so one of the things, again, I did as I was going through this phase with my leadership was that I just said that I'm going to integrate both. I'm not going to discard this whole data-driven masculine way of leadership. It's helpful for me, but I'm going to integrate my feminine side. I will see what the situation needs, and based on that, I'm going to act. And I think that really, really supported me. Actually, why don't we pause here for maybe 30 seconds or 1 minute and just write down what are some qualities in you that you think are masculine qualities that help you go forward? And what are some of the qualities in you that are feminine qualities? And again, all of us have masculine and feminine, irrespective of our sex, right? So we'll pause and maybe take 30 seconds so that you can get in touch with some of that. Rationality, yeah. Gayatri, do you think it's more masculine? Is it more feminine?
I believe that it is sort of in the middle, but like how it has been perceived throughout maybe history or in terms of science, how it is used there that rationality is supposed to be a man's quality and that they're supposed to be in the science field and rational and innovate and invent. Sort of that was stereotype.
Yeah. Actually, I'll wait for others to write and I'll share an instance. So I was, like I said, a science student. I thought I'm going to be a computer engineer, etc. And women in STEM was a big thing. But in 2022, I had the opportunity go to TED, the main TED event where in Canada, where the best of the world comes, all the innovation is shown, and I was mind blown. It is like, oh my God, like inspiration they bhar ke 4 दिन. It is like a crazy experience. And I'm very grateful that I got selected to attend it. And on the stage, when I saw women scientists, there were 15 science talks, and 14 of them that year were done by women. And I thought I was a pretty progressive woman who believed. But when I saw these women like with data and science, like I could feel it in my body how inspired I was. So the power of role models and the power of exposure to how much, especially women or our identities can do was just amazing. It's been 3 years and I still think about that experience of mine because it's so powerful to keep yourself in situations which inspire you. And when you see things like that, like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it too. There is hope. But I'm not taking away from what you said, Gayatri. I agree that rationality has been thought of as a very masculine, going out there, putting things together as a masculine trait. Assertiveness and empathy, masculine, feminine. Spirit to compete. Yes, competitiveness is a masculine trait. And that's why a lot of it says that research shows that women leaders are collaborative, things like that. Yeah, empathy, taking a stand. Both are important, right? Taking a stand and understanding the other. And we can't wait for a man to come and take a stand when we need to take a stand. So thank you. And I think what this journey taught me was a little bit more self-acceptance. The rejection that I had been doing, that, oh, this is the way to lead, this is not a way to lead. Acceptance that this is where I'm in my journey. Like I had to over-index on my masculinity to be successful, especially in politics, right? Like where sometimes I would be in rooms filled with hundreds of men and I was the only woman and then a young woman. Sometimes I wished mere baal thode se white ho jate taki log mujhe seriously lete. Like I'm not joking. This is a serious wish I have made because the society doesn't take you as seriously. But slowly I realize there's a power in that. When they see that I can talk politics, there is they also get to see a strong woman who is young and yet knows her politics. So sometimes being in presence of role models and sometimes being that role model yourself, I think really, really helps. Thank you. Keep it coming. Yeah, I'm just reading. And I'm also looking at time at 7:44. So I'll maybe take 10 more minutes and then we'll open it up to more questions. And I think, like I said, and this is the first time I'm talking about it in front of so many people. But in December, in mid last year, so like I said, I started in School of Democracy, etc. But there were challenges with my co-founder, who was one of my closest friends over the 6 years of building the organization. But something happened middle of the year where we realized we're really different and the organization needs maybe one leader. And I made a choice that I'm going to step down from the organization. And I think it's one of the hardest choices that I have ever made in my whole life because ISD is almost like my child. And it was like I had to let go of my child. And I had the option of, my co-founder said, why don't you lead it? Like, I'll go. But there was a lot of background story and a lot of society's realities about gender and other kept playing. But there was a voice in me that said that, Hemakshi, maybe it's time. There is something else unfolding and you need to let go. I resisted so much. I cannot tell you. With though there was this intuition and life has its way of whispering in you, I was resisting it because the attachment becomes so strong, attachment to what we've built, but who we are. I think like my attachment to, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, oh, I'm the co-founder of Indian School of Democracy became so strong that I could not imagine a life beyond it. So on 24th December was like my last day, and I knew it was coming, etc., etc. And I wrote a very public post about it. And in that post, it was a very vulnerable post. It was on LinkedIn. I sent it to a lot of our advisors on email. And I got almost like 300 replies from unknown people saying, thank you for being vulnerable, because people don't expect that when someone is leaving, there is usually the norm is, oh, it was so great setting up and serving this organization. It's time for something new, so I'm leaving. और ये सोसाइटी नॉर्म्स आपके लिए सेटअप करेगी कि अगर छोड़ रहे हो तो ऐसा ईमेल होना चाहिए, अगर दूसरी जॉब में जा रहे हो तो सबको थैंक करो. बट समटाइम्स लाइफ इज नॉट रोजी, लाइक आई सेड, and we need to challenge the norms of what people sometimes expect of us. People expected me to just say, oh, I'm done, so I'm leaving. But no, I wanted to be honest, saying my co-founder and I have differences, and that's why I'm choosing to leave. And when I wrote that post, almost like hundreds of people replied on LinkedIn, and I got almost 300 replies from strangers saying, thank you for even saying what you said, without, like, I didn't badmouth anyone or anything like that, but just, that made me realize that even in your darkest or the most difficult choice, it's important to be true to who you are and honor what you have built. I knew whether anyone else honors me or not, honoring myself is important. And I don't say this as a proud, like as a, I don't, it's not an ego thing. Actually, it was anything. Like I was feeling so small for leaving an organization. There was so much embarrassment. There was so much guilt because the organization was and is doing really well. But I had made a choice under whatever circumstances to leave. So there were just so many emotions, and I could have followed any of the templates, but I knew I had to be true to who I am. Otherwise, I'm not going to live with myself. And I have to honor what I have built. I have built an organization that is amazing, that's doing really, really good things. And I thought the worst is over. 24th, my farewell was very difficult, etc., etc. मुझे लगा ठीक है, इतने टाइम मुझे 2-3 महीने से तो पता ही है, I'm leaving. I had done my transitions. I had said my goodbyes, but I didn't know what was going to hit me. And I think in the last 3 months, like my body, I was saying, I was traveling for 200 days a year, like for 6.5 years, just building the organization, go, 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 go. Starting January, I just collapsed. I couldn't get out of bed. And I had not taken a Sunday off in so long, and suddenly forget Sunday, I couldn't get out of home. There would be 10 days where I just wouldn't be able to get out of home because I didn't know. So yes, that was happening physically. Someone would say that itna travel karke ya itna karke you must be tired, so your body needs rest. And yes, my body needed rest, but my sense of self had collapsed. Because what had happened in this is because I was so invested in building the organization that I forgot who I was. I had not nurtured any other part of me. So for me and for the world, Hemakshi is equal to co-founder of Indian School of Democracy. And I had forgotten who I was. Not just that I was a daughter, a wife, a sister. Like literally, if you woke me up and you said who I am, I would say I am a nobody. I could not remember who I was because I had so over-identified with the external task of building the organization. It was also a very deeply spiritual journey, but I had invested in that part of me so much that I slowly unnurtured all other parts of me. I never nurtured, like there were friends I would not reply for 3 months. I would speak to my mother once a week for 2 days because I thought, oh, I'm building this organization. But then again, Jan happened. I had no sense of who I was. And when something like that happens, your body is obviously going to collapse because your psyche in some ways has collapsed. And I genuinely thought I am never, it's the worst. I do believe it's the hardest thing that has happened to me and that I'm never going to get out of it. Like I said, I tried to run away from home. There are many things that I did that I'm so not proud of, but because I felt fear, like I could not step. This is a person, like I would do so many public talks. Like, I was just a very confident person and I would teach politicians how to do public talks. And if I get a phone, my body would tremble. I was like, oh, I have to speak. And again, it became, now it's been 3 months. And like, I really, if Juhi asked me to do this in March, I wouldn't have been able to do it because I was just like, I don't know who I am. And when you don't know who you are, what I felt like the ground beneath my feet was taken. Like zameen mere pair se chali gayi thi. मैं और कोई जमीन नहीं थी खड़े रहने के लिए, because it felt like ISD was the only ground on which I could stand. It was the culmination of my professional, emotional, spiritual journey, and suddenly there was just nothing to stand on. And I think I'm still recovering from it. So I didn't shy away from, I had a therapist, I had a yoga teacher, I had a very supportive husband who would listen to me, who would just, like, I was crying for 15 hours a day almost. I would not eat, like just things that I never associated with myself, because Hemakshi is a strong woman. She inspires, like so many of my alumni, of course, like they're still a big part of my life. They would call me, check on me. And for these alumni, I am the strongest woman they have met, both male and female alumni. And I was like, what has happened to me? How am I so weak? But now when I look back at it, I feel like accepting this part of me is important. And a friend told me, how when caterpillar is becoming a butterfly, it has to shed all of its skin. In fact, there is a stage between caterpillar to butterfly where the papua, as they say, is eating its own cells. So if you look at nature is so beautiful. It's autophagy. So all the cell parts of that caterpillar that are not going to help itself when it becomes the caterpillar, it eats. It kills those parts of itself to blossom into what it's meant to become. But the caterpillar doesn't know that it's going to be the butterfly, but it has to trust its intuition. And I think like a big lesson in humility has been that I have to let go of parts of me to know what I can become. And अगर पता होता ना ये caterpillar, मुझे अभी भी नहीं पता कि मेरा butterfly version क्या है. But just having that faith faith in life. I'm not a religious person, so I wish I was. अभी कभी लगता है I wish अगर भगवान में मानती तो बोलती भगवान क्या किया है, you could do this. But there is something about having a relationship with life that I have discovered in the last few months, that having a relationship with yourself and life, and that I discovered faith in the universe in that way, that yes, there are parts of me that are dying. This over-identification with one identity, a professional identity, like it's not serving you anymore. There are many parts of you that you need to discover. And it's very scary. I think the fear I have felt, like I really felt like it was some of the darkest, like I've gone into a really, really dark space. But now when I'm coming back at it, I'm in touch with the intuition that I don't know what's next, but I hope it's coming. And in this time, what I luckily did, because of all the choto problems, like I was saying, college mein, English mein, baat nahi kar pana, ya bachcho ko padha nahi pana, it almost felt like all of those problems and the tricks I learned in that phase were preparing me for these. And I'm sure there is going to be many more challenges, but asking for help. I sought therapy, I reached out to people, the sisterhood that I built. I think, like I said, my alumni stood by me like nothing else. Like, oh my God, the relationships I had invested in stood by me. And I remember, a professor, leadership professor of mine had said that you need to have anchors. Do you know what the word anchor means? Can someone share in Hindi or English? One who supports, but that's a person. What does anchor mean for a boat? Something that you attach to the ground. जब वो कश्ती होती है ना, boat होती है, अगर उसको आपको शोर पे रखना है तो आपको एक उसके डोरी से आपको एक एंकर जैसा हुक जैसा होगा जो जमीन में जाएगा ताकि वो बोट कहीं भी ना चली जाए. And what anchor means, yes, like there's support, and there are 4 types of anchors that I would like to offer to you that I wish all of you have, because when times get difficult, you will need these. So one, which a lot of you have said, is people who are your anchors. They can be your grandmothers, your partners, your current fellows. Invest in these people because it may feel like, oh, I'm alone. And when success gets to, I really thought I was invincible. I was winning all of these awards, all the global fellowships you could name. So I really felt like, I can figure it out. But when things get hard, none of that external achievement is going to come to you. What's going to come to is your inner strength. And even when that's not enough, the people around you. So invest in people as anchors. The second anchor is purpose. So I knew even now, like when I've transitioned from ISD, yes, the organization's gone, but my purpose, which I think is of working with women, no one can take that away from me. And that's never going to go away, right? That purpose is my anchor. So even on my darkest days, I knew I have come here to work with women, to learn from and to make lives of women better in my country. That no one can take your purpose away from you. So invest in your purpose. The third is some places. There are places or communities in some ways which nurture you. It could be your parents' home. It could be, say, Sri Ram school when you go. It could be a tree. One of my mentees right now, I asked her this question when we started the year. I was like, what anchors you the most? And she has a squirrel in her home as a pet. And that's her tender moment when she's spending time with that squirrel. And it was so beautiful the way she described it. So sometimes it can be those places where you can be connected to yourself, to who you are. So find those. And the fourth anchor, which I really recommend you build as you grow up, is practices. And these are practices, again, that connect you to yourself, your mind and body. Like for me, I rediscovered yoga. And I cannot tell you, I think when you invest in something, the universe has a way of giving to you. And there are just so many things. So just for me, it's meditation and yoga. For some people, it's gardening. But for some people, it's art. So have a practice that can be your anchor. That has nothing to do with the roles you are playing outside or in someone's lives, but these are practice that keep you grounded. So the 4 anchors, again, that I'm going to offer to you are people, places, practices, and purpose. When things get really difficult, you need to get into this. But ये अचानक से नहीं आएंगे. जब आप मुश्किल में होते हो ना, यू आर एट योर वर्स्ट, तब आपको लगेगा चलो मैं डांस पिकअप करती हूँ, तब मैं योगा पिकअप करती हूँ. वो नहीं होगा. These are things you have to cultivate when things are good. There's a saying, build the roof when it's not raining. छत तब बनाओ जब बारिश नहीं हो रही, क्योंकि जब बारिश होगी तब वो छत काम आएगी. So these are anchors you need to build when you think you're strong, things are going good, and a lot of time things are going good. Invest in your friendships and your mentors. Remember your purpose, build your practices, go to these places, right? So that when things go bad, they're there with you. Like so much has happened to me in the last 3 months where people have shown up unconditionally, where my purpose has kept me going, where my practice has, like, I started doing yoga seriously 2 years ago, and who knew it's going to literally save my life in this phase of life. So just trusting that wisdom and going through it, I think is really, really helpful. And I think now that I'm going through this or I'm emerging from it, I feel I'm becoming a new version of me, a version of me that if I was just holding on to familiar things, I would have never discovered. I still don't think I'm in my butterfly phase. और कभी-कभी जब मुश्किल टाइम से लगता है फिर चलो ये हो गया लाइफ और मेरा हिसाब खत्म, now never difficulty is not going to come. But if we listen to elders, we know that difficulties are going to come. In fact, every difficulty is almost a preparation for the next one. So learn your lessons. And I also have come to believe that if we don't learn our lesson, life will give you the same problem set again in a more intense way. Right? So honor life, respect the wisdom of life, learn the lessons, be humble, and then move to discover newer versions of you. Don't get too attached to any version of you. Be open while having that connection to your inner self. Because, like, I think outer stuff is important, but it will come and it will go. But that relationship with yourself, I think, is what needs to be strengthened the most. And I hope I've written something like that in the letter, which I wrote when things were much better. But I'm going to pause now and we can take some questions. If you want to journal a little bit, you can. Yeah.
Guys, you can quickly post your questions.
Yes, I see Ria has sent a question. Yeah, that this is a make or break decade of your life. Now navigate life through this pressure, and also when people around are moving ahead in life. Thank you for that question, Ria. It's a very, very real question. Now, one thing is, जब आप 10th में होते हो, सब बोलते हैं ये सबसे important year है. फिर जब आप 12th में होते हो, तब सब बोलेंगे ये सबसे important year है. फिर आप जब 3rd में होते हो, सब लोग including विनीता मैम and राधिका मैम बोलेंगे ये सबसे important साल है. ठीक है, और ये सब सही है. मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि ये गलत है. Radhika, you have something to say it. All of this is true because these are indicators of the world that we are living in. और हम जाके केव में तो रह नहीं रहे हैं जब हर बार अपनी अलग दुनिया बना रहे हैं अपने. ये सच्चाई है समाज की, that these are important years. 12th grade, your board exams, your 3rd year of college is going to determine what you do. And then your first job, how you perform at it. And then when you are in your mid or late 30s, they're going to say, find the right partner, get married. So the indicators of society are going to be there and they're there for a reason. But in this, just don't lose connection with yourself ever, I think is one thing. But I'll respond in slightly more detail, Ria. So when I was graduating at 21, like I said, it was Flame. It was like very elite college. And then I got involved in the placement cell, which is in charge of this. And Teach for India had just started. So abhi to aap sabko Teach for India ke bare mein pata hai. There are so many fellows. Fellows are doing amazing things. Entrepreneurs, speakers aate hain. Jab main graduate hui thi college se, tab Teach for India ka first cohort bhi khatam nahi hua tha. तो कोई सक्सेस स्टोरीज नहीं थी. पर मैंने कैंपस में देखा कि ये लोग बात करना है. मुझे लगा, ओ आई एम मेड फॉर दिस, आई हैव टू डू इट. If conventional wisdom, and like, I don't come from an affluent family, तो 15,000 के stipend से कुछ होने, and I knew I was not going to get any money from home, so it didn't make any rational choice to do Teach for India then. Now I think like everyone knows, and I really encourage a lot of you to do it. In fact, my first mentee is a fellow right now. And so I think, but at that time, if I had followed conventional wisdom, I would have gone and done a business job because, like I said, I'm graduated with a gold medal, all the professors. But I think it has to be a combination of listening to elders' wisdom or wisdom of other people, along with what you want to do and listening to yourself. Never, ever just listen to anyone else. Ever, especially when taking important decisions, because your gut knows, your body knows, and you have to find ways to connect to it. Like whatever works for you. It could be dance, it could be theater, it could be writing, like journaling, it could be art. But you have to listen to yourself when you're making these important decisions, because तुम लोग अभी 20s 30s में उसमें, मैं अभी ILSS में एक टॉक दिया मैंने 1-2 हफ्ते पहले, जिसमें 40s और 50s में जो लोग बहुत सक्सेसफुल हो गए, CEO बन गए कंपनी के, पर अब जाके सोशल सेक्टर में आने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि अब वो आवाज आई कि इतने साल तो हमने किसी और ने बोला वो जिंदगी जी, अब हमें जो मन कह रहा है वो करना है, राइट? So if you listen to everyone else, life will eventually throw you the same question when you grow up. So yes, it matters that you need to have, so especially I think from the background that a lot of you come from, financial security is almost a non-negotiable. So I'm not saying make stupid decisions, but make decisions that are practical, but also align with who you are. If do what you really want to do and makes your life and life of those who've invested in you slightly easier. I think this competition is just never going to end. Honestly, Ria, the sooner we realize that, the better it is. It's just never ending. It will be one day about the career. It will be one day about the lips I have, the hair. I've always hated my hair. 2 years ago, I shaved my hair. It's still growing back. 1.5 years ago, right? Like I just, like, you are never going to be, especially in this consumerist society, we will always think others have better. And from what I understand, your question is, how do you deal with it? I really think self-acceptance is the only key to dealing with this. Are you happy doing what you're doing? And you will falter. You will not always be happy, but never forget to ask yourself this question. Sometimes लगेगा हाँ यार उसकी तो job लग गई 35,000, मैं इधर हूँ. So seek help. Be honest. Seek guidance. Don't ignore that feeling, but don't do it just because someone else is doing it. I don't think that's the recipe for happiness or success. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read more questions. Wow, okay. How can I keep my professional and personal life separate while being the vice president in college society, like handling anger, stress due to some personal problems? That's a very practical question. Thank you, Meghna, for asking that. Especially, I think, like now, I feel like the world is so crowded and chaotic, no? It feels like all aspects of life are the same. I think having some time for yourself is really, really important, where a lot of practices actually just say morning, if you can spend 15 minutes with yourself, just 15 minutes with yourself. Because a lot of us, what we do, we wake up and we see this. I stopped seeing this the first thing in the morning 3 years ago, and it's the best practice. I sleep with my phone on airplane mode. I finish my morning practices and then I switch this on, because that gives me control of my life instead of someone else's message deciding what my day will look like. So that's a small practice, but again, there's a lot of research which shows that if you have your morning ritual, it really sets the tone for you to be successful in the day. So any practice in the morning, 15 minutes, that helps you really connect with yourself, don't ignore it. Everyone is very, very busy. That's true. Because if you have that sense of anchoring in the morning, and then of course, बहुत सारे winds blow होंगे. If you're a president, then you know, like उनका झगड़ा हो गया, वो भी मुझे करना, और फिर रिक्शा वाले अंकल ने कुछ बोल दिया, उससे भी trigger होगा. There are many triggers in the outside world. But then like allow yourself to feel the emotions that you're feeling. But if you felt calm some part of the day, your body will remember, okay, I'm capable of feeling this, and then you can go back to it. Second, have someone who you can talk to every day, right? Like this is a very underestimated skill, especially now because everyone's always connected. तो हमें लगता है हम हमेशा बात करते रहते हैं. But someone who listens to you, which is non-digital, who will really just listen to not what you are saying, but how you are feeling. And you can also be that person for someone else. So just having that practice of human connection, I think in these times is important and will also help you balance. I really think, and all of this emotional stuff, I really believe in mental stuff, but also learning tools like time management, which I'm assuming like as you grow and you get ready for the jobs and world out there, you will learn time management. Because otherwise क्या होता है, काम तो 15 मिनट का होता है, पर हम उसको 45 minutes का बना देते हैं by not doing things at the right time, and that will always make me feel ये भी बाकी है, ये भी बाकी है, ये भी बाकी है, ये भी बाकी है, तो पहाड़ हो जाता है हमारे सर पे, right? So being efficient, doing things that you're meant to do, and moving to the next thing then will help you feel a sense of achievement and not cluttered. Because I think your attention and your mental bandwidth is going to be the most crucial factor for success, especially in the age of AI technology. So learn that. It's good you have all these opportunities already. You can apply some of these tools of self and professional management to make sure that you declutter your life and not everything is flowing into each other all the time. And then it feels like, oh my God, what is happening? Then it goes out of control, right? Yeah. Thank you, Kumkum, for that question. How to not get attached to a version of you. So who am I? a lot of times, and I think as we grow older, as responsibilities increase, there are 2 or 3 things that we get attached to. So if one is a mother, then being a mother, then, for example, like being the professional identity you take, all of these will become important. 2-3 रहेंगे और हम उसी में पानी डालते रहेंगे. पर अगर हमें याद रहे that there is a full garden inside of us, that I'm also a dreamer, I'm also this limitless potential, I'm this creative person, that I'm a poet. So nurture many parts of you. हर रोज शायद possible नहीं है, but at least in a month when you take stock of your week or take stock of a month, make sure you're nurturing different parts of you so that you have something. If something is not working out, that's not the end of the world. Because a lot of times when your boss will give you feedback, you may even get fired from your job. You don't know what's going to happen. But at that time, it may feel like the world is ending. But in that time, when you have other parts of you, whether it's relationships or a hobby that you're pursuing or just a learning pursuit that you're a part of, you have something to keep you going. And so that when that goes away, you don't know. Also, I think like renewing yourself is really important. And because अगर हम एक ही वर्जन 70 साल रहेंगे तो काफी बोरिंग हो जाएगा ना हमारे लिए भी. Of course, there's going to be a thread that is going to stay, which is your essence, which are your values, which is who you are and your purpose. Your purpose is going to be a thread. But after that, keep evolving, keep becoming a better version of you. And 2, for anything new to come, old needs to go so that there is space. At least that's the lesson I'm learning now. Yeah. What are I forgot to answer. What are some of the strategies or suggestions that you have? So a friend of mine actually does this. Every year, she does like a bonfire of the old versions of her. So she'll physically burn her photos, will burn some of the writings, and which means the good things, not just, oh, boyfriend se breakup ho gaya, to main letters burn kar rahi hu. Really parts of herself that she thinks it's time to go so that she can make. So this like ritual is really good for her in some ways. And then like, I believe what has helped me is journaling, like real journaling, being very honest with myself and saying, actually in June, I'm going to organize my own funeral. Like this part of me is dying. Can I honor it? All of this I know needs to go because a new part of me has to be born. But so that's one ritual that I randomly came up with for myself. I'm going to invite people who've known that old version of me so that it feels celebrated. Otherwise, गुस्सा भी तब आता है जब हमारे जो गुस्से पार्ट को हम दबाते रहते हैं, उसको लगता है ये तो मेरी बात ही नहीं सुन रहे, तो आता रहता है. अगर उसको स्पेस दो तो वो थोड़ा काम हो जाता है. और मुझे लगता है जो ओल्ड पार्ट्स ऑफ मी है, आई एम गोइंग टू ऑनर देम, गिव देम स्पेस so that they will go away and I can invite new parts of me. Yeah. Also, we all have shadows. We all don't have good sides. ये हमें सीखना होगा. तो अगर हम inspiring, creative और वो सब है ना, हमारे shadows भी होते हैं. वो shadows को हमें integrate करना है. We don't have to discard our shadow. That's very masculine thing to do, that we are perfect, we are all of this. We are not perfect, and imperfection is the beauty. My work can be perfect, but I'm not perfect because then I need to grow in life. No? Yeah. Does it actually get better or do you just learn to live with it? Anshita, that's a very deep question. And I've been thinking a lot about it, and I don't think there's one right answer. I can share you how I think about it. I think there is acceptance of things as they are. And in a lot of spiritual practices, they say the moment you accept things as they are, it will dissolve and something new will show up. Whether it's grief, whether it's happiness, nothing is permanent in life, right? Like there are going to be seasons of life. No one can be happy all the time. No one can be sad all the time. So whatever there is, like if we can just accept it and observe it, then something will come. So I think we learn to, yes, accept it, and there is nothing wrong in accepting. Especially Indian families में हमें बताया जाता है compromise कर रहे हो, ये नहीं है. But accepting is actually a very wise thing. Accepting reality as is, seeing it as is, so that I can create my new reality. That's what I think. So don't think of acceptance as a bad thing. Accept reality as it is so that you can move from it, is what I think. And things, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Kintsugi, the Japanese, बहुत famous हो गया था Instagram पे. Do you all know what kintsugi is? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Aditi knows. Maybe I'll just share one. So जापान में एक बहुत एंशियंट आर्ट है दैट अगर ग्लास बोल होता है ना सेरामिक का बहुत सुंदर, अगर वो टूट जाता है तो हम क्या करेंगे, मोस्टली फेंक देंगे उसको कि ये तो यूजफुल नहीं है. But what they do is when, especially some old things break, जो उसको जोड़ेंगे और वो जो जहाँ पे क्रैक है ना उसको ऑलमोस्ट गोल्ड से रिफिल करते हैं, because the cracks are so precious. And after that, the bowl or the ceramic thing becomes even more beautiful. So how can we learn to celebrate parts of us that are broken? And there's also a Rumi quote, wound is where the light enters you. अगर कुछ खुदेगा तभी उसमें light आएगी, right? So yes, you learn to accept that I have a wound, but things do get better because then light does enter. That's the nature of life. Like I said in January, if even Radhika would have told me, come, and I have a lot of love and respect for Radhika, I would have said, no chance. My world has ended. I'm dying like I am a nobody. But now it's 24th of April and I am better. I'm at Azim Premji University taking guest lectures. I'm still in the between caterpillar and Papua. I don't think I'm at a butterfly, but I'm better than what I was in January. So yes, things get better. But when you're not good, take help, do everything, get your anchors, and then things will get better. And there's no timeline. हम ये नहीं कर सकते जून तक सब ठीक हो जाना, जुलाई में मुझे कुछ नया करना है. No, life has its own timeline. We just have to be patient and keep trying. Like take the first step, the next 1,000 will appear in front of you. Yeah. Thank you, Soni, for that question. I think my alumni give me a lot of hope. Luckily, I'll answer this question in two ways. Like Soni has asked a question about women in politics. I think a couple of things. Structurally, Women's Reservation Act has been passed now. So from 2029, hopefully it will be implemented, and at a state and a national level, 33% seats have to be reserved. Already at a local level, that is the case. But as we know, because at a local level that is the case, that सिर्फ reservation से कुछ होता नहीं है, क्योंकि फिर tokenism होता है, सरपंच पति होते हैं. So society also needs to change. But I believe in the power of role models. Like the moment you have even 5 amazing MPs sitting in parliament talking about them, and if we as citizens are celebrating these women, then more young people will get inspired, more things will happen. So I think policy-wise things need to change, which they are slowly changing. Society-wise things need to change. The patriarchal mindset needs to change and things. And personally also things need to change. We need to find the support system. In fact, some of our alumni are going to try and form across party lines collective of women. Even at ISD, we still do some of that, bringing women together because there's a lot of power in collectives. So dheere dheere change hoga. Unfortunately, there's no magic wand to women's representation. And also it requires inner strength and external change. Yeah, intense emotions when nothing is going well. Self-doubt, negative emotions. पता ऐसा लगता है कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता फ्यूचर में. Yes, you're not able to think clearly, not able to take risks. Yeah, you'll mess up. The cycle goes on and result. Oh, that's such a good question, Aditi. At first, I want to say I understand where you are. I'll give a small example, right? Like I used to work 15, 16 hours a day. Like मैं 3-4 talks कर सकती हूँ, internal financial strategies बना सकती हूँ हर एक दिन में, इतना confidence decision making. But when things were bad right now, I couldn't decide if I wanted to go to see my brother or not. Like I spent 4 days literally looking at tickets, saying ये ticket नहीं होगी, ये ticket 100 rupees का फर्क था. But I just couldn't decide, and I'm like, and that was the only decision I had to take in 4 days. और कोई decision नहीं लेना था. मुझे लगा ये like just your mind, in my case, like became paranoid. I had zero confidence to do anything in life. First, I had to say it's a phase. I have not forever become underconfident. I have not forever become this clouded person. It was important to remember that I'm going through a phase. I'm going through a difficult thing right now. And that's why I am facing this decision fatigue. I have no confidence in me. That's the first. And then start taking small decisions. Don't take big life changing decisions. In fact, tell your friend or someone to not let you take any big life decisions, because कभी कभी मन भी करता है, जैसे मेरा मन कर रहा था मैं घर छोड़ के सब कुछ छोड़ के चली जाऊं, मैं कभी सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो सकती, कुछ भी नहीं था मेरे उसमें, right? But I started taking small decisions like, okay, today my cats need medicine. What time will we give medicine? Seems like such a small decision, no? But I used to take that. And I would feel okay if I made the right decision, then I would get the confidence to take some bigger decision, right? So clarity comes slowly. Just take the next step. Don't take big decisions when you're feeling very, very emotional, because emotions, such intense emotions, can cloud your feeling. And that cloud goes. Honestly, in the last 3 months, I felt like there is just darkness. Then I still remember on 14th of March, I had one good day where I felt like sunlight has entered me. तब तक मुझे लगा मैं पूरी डार्क हूँ। और फिर मुझे 14th को भी पता था कि ऐसा नहीं है वो क्लाउड्स हमेशा के लिए चले गए, वापस डार्क दिन आएंगे। 15th of March, 16th of March were really bad, but now because of 14th of March I remember things can be a little better, and now things are much better. Most of my days are okay, then I have some bad days. So you will feel energy, but when you're deeply emotional, one, make sure you seek help. Don't take big life-changing decisions, and try to break down your decisions in small, low-stake decisions, and dheere dheere things will get better. And it's okay if they don't. Just make sure someone else takes decision on your behalf. Like I decide every time I was going out, पिछले 3 महीने में मैं same कपड़े पहनती थी, laundry डाल के वो मैं कपड़े का भी decide नहीं कर पा रही थी. Like I'm just giving real examples that it happens and it's okay.
Sorry, ma'am, we have to cut short now because of the time constraint.
No worries. I completely understand. I'm also looking at the questions.
Yeah. So with that, we come to the end of this talk. I, on behalf of the entire Karm family, would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our speaker, Hemakshi ma'am, for joining us today and sharing such thought-provoking insights. Your journey and how you mentioned that the feeling of being lost you had is something that we all can relate with deeply. But that one voice that is deep inside of us, that I'll figure it out, is actually what keeps us thriving. Ma'am, I could personally relate to the part where you shared that you had trouble for asking for help. Even I did so 1 year back. But when I learned to ask for help, the growth that I noticed was just exponential. The clarity, conviction, and compassion with which you spoke today has ignited something in all of us, a deeper sense of resilience. We are incredibly grateful for the time you took from your schedule to be with us and for the wisdom you so generously shared with the Sakhis. As women who will be soon entering the workforce, your words reminded us that we need to never give up, neither on our work nor on ourselves. To our Sakhis, thank you for attending this session. I hope that you learned something new today. Taking these words back with you and building your own anchors and also be the anchor for the people around you. Let's carry forward the energy of this session and the ideas it sparked into our own journeys. Thank you once again to all of you for just being present here and showing up. Thank you.
Thank you,
Uh,
Tanya. The nice words.
Sorry, I would also like to hope in.
Yes.
I mean, this was magical today. Himakshi ma'am, what can we say? I mean, thanking you is not enough, to be honest. Every time we just get mesmerized by your words, your thoughts. So you shared your stories, showed your vulnerabilities, and also taught us how accepting your flaws and vulnerabilities, your all versions, is so important. but we don't need to get attached to any of our versions. So yes, and also I love that particular thing when you said that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of a healthy relationship of you with your life. And especially when you said that learn your lessons, otherwise you will keep getting redirected to the problems. So we all could feel all those lessons, and thank you so much from the behalf of Karm and Karm Awaaz, Radhika ma'am. We all love you, and yeah, thank you so much for doing this for our girls.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for, I think, like the unconditionality with which all of you just held space, and your questions were deeply insightful. Sorry that I couldn't answer all, or even the ones I answered may not be perfect, but I hope, yeah, I'm sure wisdom will come to you when you need it the most from whatever source. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. I'll sign off, no? Yeah? Okay, bye.